Hello, I'm so glad that you are joining me today to experience a Radiant Writing class. Today's video will be slightly longer because I'm going to take the time to explain the practice, and then the rest of the week's videos we'll just kind of jump right into the poem, which I'll explain where the poem comes into play in this video. But it's kind of good to have a little bit of background and foundation about what this is and who this is for. And so today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. So this practice came from a woman named Lori Wagner, who is based out of Alameda, California. And she has been doing this for 30 years. And I took her teacher training course last year, and I have been writing with her for over 2 years. I've been writing on my own for years, but this practice, I really, really love it because there's so much power in writing and getting the things that are in your head out onto paper. Even if you don't share it with anybody, just the act of writing. And what I really love about this practice is that instead of staring at a blank page, you are going to be given jump off lines. And so you're not going to be just left on your own to figure out what to say and where to start. So you'll listen to the voice inside your head and you will say yes to whatever's coming, but you will have some direction in where you go. And that, I think, really takes kind of the guesswork out of it for those of us that might struggle with just straight up journaling. So who is this practice for? This is really for anyone. You do not have to be a writer. I am not a writer. I've written my whole life, but I don't really consider myself a writer. You don't have to have any experience. It is truly for anyone and everyone. It is a space for you to get in touch with yourself and to know yourself on a more authentic level. And when we do this in small groups, it is an opportunity to build community and to hear from other people. But I think that there's so much power in simply writing for the sake of writing for yourself. And after you write, I encourage you to read back over what you've written, maybe even read it out loud. And there's power in that too. And it may unlock something for you. There are so many days I sit down to write and I'm shocked by what I end up saying because I didn't realize that it was bubbling up underneath. So what is it? What is this practice and why is it different from, any other sort of writing practice? So what we do here is we use poetry as an access point. We use narrative poems, and this helps us not have to stare at a blank page. So by listening to the words of the poem, you may be surprised by what comes up, and it might be imagery or the words might make you think of something. And so the poetry gives you an on-ramp. So what I will do is I will read a poem and then I will give you jump off lines. I'll read the poem again and I'll also give you an alternate jump off line because not every poem is going to speak to everyone. So you'll always have somewhere to start. So I recommend, all you need is a piece of paper. This is my writing journal. I have multiples, but you need something to write with and a pen. And so pause this video if you don't have that and go grab that. So once you have your piece of paper and pen, you'll listen, you just sit while I read, and I recommend closing your eyes and just really trying to be present and tuning out the rest of the world and writing the jump off lines at the very top of the page. And then I'm going to read the poem again and remind you of the jump off lines and the different options. And so then you're going to start writing, and the goal is to say yes to whatever comes. You're going to start by writing that jump off line and just letting the pen go. Your job is to write. You don't want to let the pen leave the paper. You want to write as fast as you can. You want to write as poorly as possible. The goal is to outrun the critic in your head. So I like to think of, if you go to therapy and your therapist asks you a question, you have time to pause and to think about the question and then to kind of construct your answer to what you think it should be. But this really is getting beyond that should and getting beyond how you feel like the world is expecting you to present yourself. This is just really writing fast and writing poor and not worrying about grammar or word choice or finding the best possible word to use. Whatever comes is perfect. So rambling is fine. And you can write anything, any word, anything is great. And if you get stuck, you just write that jump off line again and you start over. So the poem we do today, some of the poems are repetitive poems. And so that really kind of helps because you're going to keep using that line over and over again. But if there's ever a poem that we use that isn't necessarily a repetitive one, you just go back to that jump off line or the alternative and you just keep writing. So there is no wrong way to do this. So remember, say yes to what's coming and just let it go. And then, and like I said, when we do this in groups, it's really powerful because after we write, so in this, you'll set a 15-minute timer when I say go, and you'll write for 15 minutes. And that the goal is to write the entire time. But if we were in a group, in a small group, either in person or over Zoom, we would then go around the room and everyone would read what they write. And there is so much power in that because we get to hold space for each other. No one offers feedback, but we are there. We do this at the end to say that we see you, we hear you, and you get an insight into other people beyond the, surface level that we stay with a lot of people. And that is a really, really cool space. But for now, for this week, you're just writing for yourself and carving out 15 minutes a day to do this. I think it's going to be really powerful for you. And I think you might be surprised at what comes up. So please reach out with any questions and feel free to share this with anyone who you think might benefit from it. Like I said, it's been such a transformative process for me. I've been a part of 2 or 3 different writing groups, doing this practice, and you go from being with strangers to making friends, and just simply by sharing our own thoughts. And so, but also I try to write most days by myself, and that practice is very powerful too. So that's kind of the background. And like I said, today's video will be the longest because of that. But now let's jump in. So get your pen and your paper ready, but kind of take a deep breath, and I'm going to read our first poem. And we're just going to do 1 poem today. I might do 2 some of the other days this week for you. In a class, we would do 2 to 3, and we would write for varying times, like maybe 10 minutes for the first one, and then 15 and maybe even shorter for the last one. So this poem is called Where I'm From by George Ella Lyon. Okay, so just take a deep breath. I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I'm from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening, it tastes like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. I'm from fudge and eyeglasses, from Imogene and Alifair. I'm from the know-it-alls and the pass-it-ons, from perk up and pipe down. I'm from he restoreth my soul with a cotton ball lamb and 10 verses I can say myself. I'm from Artemis and Billy's branch, fried corn and strong coffee. From the finger my grandfather lost to the auger, the eye my father shut to keep his sight. Under my bed was a dress box spilling old pictures, a sift of lost faces to drift beneath my dreams. I am from those moments, snap before I budded, leaf fall from the family tree. So this poem is a repetitive one. And so the jump off line is I am from. And so you can take that wherever you want. For some examples, I've actually written this poem 3, if not 4 different times. And every time I take it a different way. But I moved around a lot growing up. So, I am from Rochester, New York. And then I am from California, and then talking about all those different places. And then sometimes I'm from, it goes to the relatives that I'm from. So really let whatever is bubbling up for you, let that come. Just say yes. There is no wrong way to do this. So I am from, and just keep, write one thought and then start again, write another. They don't have to connect in any way, shape, or form. There's no wrong way. If you don't love that, which is totally fine if you don't, start with, it's Monday, this is what I know. It's Monday, this is what I know. Or I'm not going to write about, and go from there. Okay, I'm gonna read it one more time. Where I'm from. I'm from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I'm from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening, it tastes like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. I'm from fudge and eyeglasses, from Imogene and Alifair. I'm from the know-it-alls and the pass-it-ons, from perk up and pipe down. I'm from he restoreth my soul with a cotton ball lamb and 10 verses I can say myself. I'm from Artemis and Billy's branch, fried corn and strong coffee. From the finger my grandfather lost to the auger, the eye my father shut to keep his sight. Under my bed was a dress box, spilling old pictures, a sift of lost faces to drift beneath my dreams. I am from those moments, snapped before I budded, leaf fall from the family tree. So again, the jump off line is I am from, and just keep repeating and returning to that line. And if you need an alternate, it's Monday, this is what I know, or I refuse to write about. Set your timer for 15 minutes. Do not let the pen leave the paper, and just give yourself that time to write and say yes to yourself. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow.